Somewhere in the beaten ruins of Seattle, after discovering the abandoned theater and learning her new partner, Dina, is pregnant, Ellie winds up here. The area is clear of infected, and you could just rush down the street towards your next goal. But you see something. A window. It's a sign welcoming you, asking you to plunder what supplies may lie within. You learn what kind of store it is, what's left of its surface. But that's not all there is there? For inside there is another sign, a room just beyond reach. It teases you. What goods might be hidden in this room? With a little more plundering, you find it, squeeze in, and are rewarded with a few more pills. Job well done. Earlier on in the game with Dina, you run from a blizzard and see a similar sight, the welcome opening of a bookstore, filled with shelves of pre-infection texts that will never be read. And just like in Seattle, there's a room just beyond reach, a tease. With a smash window, you're able to enter. And Dina tells you what this place is. There's a story here, underneath all the fungal decay. The building tells a story.
It was a firefly? He served with Tommy.
In Blue Velvet, the main character finds an ear in a field while he's walking home. And it invites him into a terror-filled world of mystery. An underworld, so to speak. I don't know why it had to be an ear, David Lynch, the director, says, except it needed to be an opening of a part of the body, a hole into something else. The ear sits on the head and goes right into the mind, so it felt perfect. Breaking the glass and entering into the bookstore is no different. You are entering into Eugene's own personal space, his mind. A man you know nothing about, you learn the little intimacies of, his family, his solitude, and his hidden staircase going down into the earth, full of dead, like Eugene, weed. Just beneath the surface, Lynch says, there's another world, and still different worlds as you dig deeper. Further into the ruins of Seattle, you get another invitation. You find bits and baubles, learn about the store, what it was, who might have owned it, what happened here. Then it asks you to go deeper. A hole down into the basement. And it's down here you find the humanity of the business. Supplies for survival. Art of a father. A trophy. An achievement. This is what's left of a person. Your mind is a home with an upstairs and a downstairs. Upstairs, in your consciousness, things are well lit and regularly swept. It is a pleasant, familiar place. Downstairs, though, it is older, darker, and much freakier. We call this basement the unconscious mind. across the street, after accepting another invitation, you enter someone else and find a similar hole. But this one is filled with absolute horror.
Shit. Shields.
The basement is eroding, covered in filth, filled with blooming corpses. Like people, societies become neurotic and can eventually break down when they make the mistake of thinking the downstairs shouldn't exist. Our basement is brimming with creepy crawlies. The pressure on the door is building. In this way, this neighborhood is like a microcosm for the entirety of the game's world. In total disrepair, haunted. Each house a macrocosm for the people it once housed. Infected, abandoned, empty. It's fitting, then, that the living embodiment of a cure is the one to enter these houses, head into the basements, and clean out those creepy crawlies. Going from building to building, cleaning them out, cleansing them in a way, symbolizes Ellie's search for someone or something else in the wake that Joel left behind after he died. If she can clear these basements, perhaps she can clean her own. Perhaps she can put her house back in order. In the beginning of the game, even before Joel's death, we see that Ellie's house, which I put in quotations in the script, is a repurposed garage out back behind someone else's house, which looks abandoned, to be honest. She's just an attachment. John Frame, in his work Symbolism of a Place, says, houses symbolize the lives of their inhabitants, and goes further to say, the house can also represent different layers of the psyche. Joel's actions have alienated Ellie from him in a lot of ways. Even within the walls of Jackson, this fortress, Ellie is alone. When we get to what we think is the end of the game, Ellie finds herself here. An idyllic home, white picket fence, a newborn, a beautiful woman that loves her, on a hill surrounded by tall, rolling grass. The most sublime sky you have ever seen. No other buildings around. No other people. Alone. Isolated. Except for that guitar. If a house is the psyche, then this guitar is Joel, his memory. There are so many times, no matter how hard Ellie searches, no matter how many basements she clears, that she finds a guitar. She always finds Joel. That anger. It's not the endings that will haunt you, but the space where they should lie. The things that simply faded without one final wave goodbye.
If I ever were to lose you, I'd surely lose myself. Ever try and sometimes you'll succeed to make this man of me. All my stolen missing parts I've no need for anymore. 'Cause I believe, and I believe 'cause I can see our future days, days of you and me.
Like a book with torn out pages, forgetting things you're sure you knew, a question with no answer, and a song stopped halfway through. Ellie leaves. She has to. This house, yes, is more solid. It's not eroding. It's not sinking into the ground. But it's still alone. It's aesthetically different from the tiny garage, but the effect is still the same. Isolation. The shadows in her basement are still banging away, trying to get out, and succeeding.
Come on, little guy. Do you want to eat? You're home. You're home. Breathe, breathe. Okay, I'm gonna take him, okay? Come on. Come here.
Back in the ruins of Seattle, you're about to leave this area, this microcosm, when you find this note. You can't leave yet, it tells you. There's more work to be done. So you return, go deeper to the furthest back of this neighborhood and find a barricaded door. People trying as hard as they can to keep the basement shut. Can you do what needs to be done? Can you open up the basement and face what's inside?
What the fuck?
It can be terrifying to face these things, especially when they've been locked away for so long. That's why it helps to have the right tools.
Your time is up, my time is now.
This is no different than Ellie leaving the house. She's going back to finish the job. She needs to get rid of that which has tormented her for the entire game. And if you've beaten it, you know what that is. You know what happens. You know the scene where she finally takes care of business. One of the more difficult scenes to watch. The house. The guitar. she had to leave to realize that what was out there in California, wherever, was not her salvation. It was not her basement. It was her continuing to shut the door on it and pretend like it didn't exist. I sat with my anger long enough until she told me her real name was Grief. It was Joel. It was always Joel, holding on to that grief. For most of the game, Ellie stays in an abandoned theater, and she's not alone. Far from it. In fact, over her journey clearing basements, she gathers people, she gathers friends. But there's always the guitar. A reminder. A symbol. Joel is always there. It's not until she can leave it behind that she is truly, truly ready. In Eugene's mind, Ellie and Dina sleep together and find just a little bit of peace in a clean basement. In the ruins of Seattle, you're now ready to leave this area and move on to the next, to keep doing the hard work. The ending is hope, courage, strength, and growth. I know this because in an even earlier batch of ruins in Seattle, Ellie finds herself with Dina there, able to do this.
What was that?
Nothing. Well, nothing sure sounds nice.
Remember that night by the bonfire?
Yeah.
Talking away. I don't know what I'm to say. I'll say it anyway. Today's another day to find you shying away. I'll be coming for you, love, okay? Take on me. Take me on. I'll be gone in a day or two.
If a house is a person, and a neighborhood is the entire world, then this scene is the entire game, and the entire game can be found in this one scene. One day, Ellie will live with her grief and Dina together. The basement entirely cleaned out.
Take me on.